Hello, friends and family, common sensors, Common Sense Academy, fans of the show. Joe Pometto, Joe the lawyer, is back Wednesday at 8 o'clock, finally sticking to my guns. I'm going to wait for some people to come in here. Once you dropped in, if you want to ask me a legal question, I would be happy to give you an answer. It's not actual legal advice, but it's legal information. It's as good and as close as it gets for free rather than meeting your own attorney. I would be happy to talk to you about movies, politics, the weather, the news, my favorite football team, my favorite baseball team, the best Star Wars movie, anything, everything, whatever you want to chat about, I'm here to talk about today. We can chat about sovereign citizens and auditors and the First Amendment of the Constitution or anything on the United States Constitution at all. I got one viewer at least. What's up, man? What's up, Ride Direct? What's up? What's up, Barbecue Bob? I am well. What's up, Ryan? The weather, I'm visiting family in Canada right now, and it's minus 25. Go ice fishing. I want to go. I've never gone ice fishing, though I have some friends who've ice fished locally here around Pittsburgh, and my stepdad used to go up and around Lake Erie and do some ice fishing, but I would imagine you can ice fish anywhere and everywhere in Canada. Where in Canada are you, Ride Direct? Are you from Canada? You're in the Rockies, and it's awesome. So you're out west. What are those provinces out there? Alberta, Jasper, Canada. Interesting. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining. Hey, I sent you an email. Did you get it? It's 70 in Arizona. See, that's beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you move. That's why you move out west or move to the south. Oh, you replied today. Okay. Well, all right. I'll read your email unless you want to chat about it now. I wanted you to shoot me a text. If anybody wants to call in, like I used to do, and ask legal questions, there's the phone number, 593-4529. I'd be happy to take your call. What I would do is put you on speakerphone, and we can talk for everybody to hear, everybody to learn. I made a mistake in the latest video I put out. It was about a sex offender who claimed he was a sovereign citizen. I thought, and he touched a girl in, oh, my email just, my phone sucks for texts. Okay. Well, we need to talk on the phone. Recent video I made about the sex offender who claimed he was a sovereign citizen, and he touched a young girl in a hot tub. I thought the hot tub was on like private property. Apparently it was a public property. So everybody's killing me in the comments because I said the parents were not too smart. So I'd just like to make a correction. I didn't realize that it was public. I understand that at a public hot tub, it's a lot harder to monitor everything that's happening or who's going to be in a hot tub with your kid. So, you know, I give them a pass. The parents get a pass. Yet tomorrow evening, make it like after 8 o'clock. From Canada originally, but live in Los Angeles now. Are you a United States citizen, Ride? Maybe I'm complete. Pervs love public pools and hot tubs. Yeah, I guess so. Makes sense, you know. Um, can you be a citizen of Canada and the United States at the same time? Is dual citizenship allowed? I really don't know. Shot the sovereignty would get rid of the problems. Well, that's true. As of 2 years ago, you are a dual citizen. Pretty cool. Awesome. Awesome. I didn't know. I thought Canada was tough to get dual citizenship with the United States and Canada. But I really have no idea. That was just hanging around in my head. Hey, everybody, want to do a same time sip? Want to do the same time sip? I don't usually do a same time sip on the live shows, but I'd be more than happy to. I have here my favorite beverage, my favorite elixir. It's not healthy. It's not the right thing to drink. And most people don't even think it tastes good, but I'm addicted to it. It's called Diet. Today it's Diet Pepsi. So grab whatever drink you have, whether it's coffee, wine, beer. Maybe you're Russian and you like to drink vodka. Maybe you're Italian and you like to drink wine. Maybe you're Mexican and you like to drink beer and or tequila. And let's raise your glass and let's do a same time sip. Not bad. Not bad. My third great grandfather was born in Canada, came to the U.S. in 1850. Can I get Canadian citizenship based on my grandfather? That's a great question. I don't know. Ask Ride Direct. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Ooh, Dr. Pepper. I love Dr. Pepper too. Ride Direct probably has more information on that than I do. That's for sure. All I know is I'm 75% Italian, and I can get I can get dual citizenship with the United States and Italy. I don't know if I ever will, but I could. I don't know how with Canada and the United States, but obviously it's possible. Southern Bourbon and Branch. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. I could go for some milk and cookies. Absolutely. Absolutely. In a set. Oh, did you ginger ale? Okay. I hope you got it, Mason. I hope you got it. You're busting my cookies, Bob. What do I know about taxes? I do my own. What's your question? I do have to do my own, Kelly, so shoot. Shh. Come at me with the tax question. Da, 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 da. Ed, Sierra Mist. I like Sierra Mist. I drank that a lot in high school. I don't really buy it anymore. I don't know why. That's a tough one with the grandparent. Parents are both from Fiji. However, when they came in the 70s, my dad got his citizenship in the States and mom in Canada. So you were born in Canada. So you were born 100% Canadian citizen. And then later on, Ride Direct, I'm guessing you went and you got your American citizenship, United States citizenship. They look how close you are to citizenship. Long ago, grandfathers don't count. There you go. That's interesting. Like, I think some of these countries in Europe are experiencing like population drops. So they make it a bit easier to get dual citizenship. At least that's my opinion. I think that's what's happening in Canada. You just are in Italy. In Italy, you just have to prove. I think grandparents are fine. So that's what I would be able to do. Kelly just filed for retirement in a different state, Wisconsin. I will be getting auto deposit to my bank in Wisconsin. I live in Ohio. Do I need to pay Wisconsin income tax on it? I don't know. Yeah, but I think it would be. I believe it would only be Ohio income tax because that's where you live. That's your permanent residence. That's your domicile. And if you're as long you probably have to be in Ohio for a certain period of time. But my assumption, just based on general understanding of the law, would be that Ohio taxes apply and Wisconsin taxes would not apply. But I could be wrong. Now, you should be able to speak to whoever's paying your pension. I just filed for retirement in a different state. I'm getting in Wisconsin. Is that because you worked and lived in Wisconsin? That might tell us a little bit about it. Yeah, court correct, but applied with dads. Taxes are voluntary if you don't want to go to jail. We have more than one sovereign citizen who learned that the hard way. That's what I thought. Sponsorship helps that we have family in the California medical system because they still want citizens who add value to the economy. IRS says America has the most voluntary tax system of any government. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Lived there, left the job in 2013. My assumption would be that the state that you live in is the one where you pay income tax. So that's what you would need to look into. Obviously, federal is federal, but I don't, pensions may present a strange sort of, they might have their own tax setup as to how they're paid. Like maybe the state where it originates is the one that collects the taxes on it. I really don't know. But I think income tax is based on where you live. Yeah, yeah, you're right, man. Joe Donho is right. Not all states even have an income tax. So does Ohio have an income tax? PA has an income tax. Does Ohio even have one? Wisconsin does. Does Ohio? Yeah, I mean, I was for straight, I'm for straight sales tax. I like those states that do the straight. I think Florida, I lived in Florida. I want to say Florida was no income tax. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciated it. I appreciate that. Hello and welcome. Wyoming and Nevada don't. I was in Florida for a couple of years when I was in the military, and I think that they did not have an income tax, but I could be wrong. That's the only other state where I really lived and spent time. Federal tax is where you live. State taxes are up to individual states. Right. You have a daughter born in Iceland, Scan family. She had dual citizenship. Do you know if she loses it if she hasn't gone back to Iceland after she turned 18? I really have no idea. That's not an area of law that I have any knowledge on. And it's not something we even learn in law school. Plus, that's based on relationships between individual countries. So it would depend on Iceland's rules. I really don't know. I doubt it. I think she would be able to keep that. But Iceland may have some rules that says you got to go back or you got to spend time there. I know every country is different. I was Air Force for 4 years. There it is. I was Air Force for 4 years in my 20s. And that's when I lived in Florida, actually. I was stationed in Florida for about a year and a half. My only concern is the money going into a Wisconsin bank. We have property tax too. Hey, Taze, welcome, my friends and family. Thank you for coming. I know they did. She said she had dual citizenship because we were Air Force. Yeah, again, that's going to be based on, I believe that's going to be based entirely on Icelandic law, like Jadonho said. Canada requires its citizens to return every 15 years. Yeah, that's crazy. That's hilarious. I mean, do you have to go? I wonder, do you have to go back just for 6 months and then you would leave again or something? Is it possible to charge auditors with some kind of code violation? Barbecue Bob, yes, it is. It depends on exactly what they do and where they do it. So the issues that arise with auditors are, first of all, the location of where they're doing it, because even some places that may appear to be public places do not allow you to just hang out and videotape because there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. I talked about that in prior videos. I can't pull it out of my brain right here. I should do a PDF on that. So the auditors, it's based on two things: the location and their conduct. So sometimes just where they are and where they're videotaping can get them in trouble for something along the lines of trespassing. Okay, disorderly conduct's a catch-all. Number two is how they do it. So sometimes these auditors will be videotaping and they're also yelling, so they could be verbally saying things to the police, or they could be physically interfering with police conduct, and that would put them in line for facing charges. Like I did that one video where it sounded like the auditor excuse me, was convicted of disorderly conduct simply for yelling verbal insults at the police. That can rise to the level of disorderly. My wife's from the Philippines. She became a United States citizen, had to give up her Philippine citizenship. However, she can go to the Philippine embassy and get dual citizenship. So that may just be, Ed, that there's a process that must be followed in order to actually gain the citizenship instead of getting it automatically. That's kind of what it sounds like there. Alabama taxes us for everything. The general rule is just because you have a camera doesn't exempt you from general criminal laws. Yeah, that's absolutely true. You have to go back and eat poutine. By the way, I'm not from South America. Wow, a lot of I'm having trouble cutting. Man, wouldn't a good Google car camera violate my personal house privacy rights? What do you mean, SoCal, man? No, I mean the front of your house, anything that can be viewed essentially from the street. It's all about where I mean, this sounds ridiculous. It's all about where a court would decide you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So you don't have a reasonable expectation privacy in, say, the front-facing view of your house. And the same is true if you're like out in your front yard and people are videotaping you. That's going to be legal because you've essentially you're just not going to have a reasonable expectation of privacy in that situation. I think there's been some issues with backyards, and I believe courts have said that certain backyards, even if they can view your backyard from a front street, that there may be an expectation of privacy in the backyard, at least when it comes to videotaping. Concealed. I have a concealed, but I'm not allowed to carry it. Their policy prohibits it. Right, but the law also allows for them to have that policy. So the policy itself has to be lawful as well. Greetings from Greensboro, North Carolina. Thank you, Laura. Always learn something. Thank you. I'm trying to get back into the groove. Federal law forbids carrying guns into banks. Yeah, I mean the Second Amendment. I want to do some videos on that in my Joe the Lawyer channel. And the Second Amendment allows reasonable restrictions on weapons, and that's been the case for a very long time. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with earlier the Bill Clinton assault weapons ban, for lack of a better word. He called it the assault weapons ban. The federal rules that require no guns in school zones. Those have largely been held to be constitutional because the Second Amendment doesn't necessarily guarantee it. The government can place reasonable restrictions on the right to carry a gun. Hey, Gary, thanks for stopping in. I'm good, brother. I'm good. I love Canada. Been several times. It's beautiful and historic. I just saw the first gun carrier at the grocery store here. Maybe she likes I was thinking today as I watched Vans upload, would YouTube be liable for fines incurred by a sovereign if if they considered YouTube their legal advisor? Yeah, that's a good question. Probably not, but it's hilarious. My reading of case law doesn't create a general right of privacy. However, the states can enact privacy laws for public situations. Yeah, that's true, Ed, but the states have to have a compelling reason. So doesn't create a general right of privacy between citizens and public. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. But what you have to remember is so we could talk about a constitutional analysis, but there are also, like, for instance, with free speech, you can still, free speech is not absolute, even in America. Okay, you can be sued for defamation, slander, or libel if it meets the elements of those particular torts, of those causes of action. All right. Similarly, in the privacy realm, okay, there are things such as misappropriation of image and false light. So, and there's a general invasion of privacy tort. So if a private citizen unreasonably invades your privacy, perhaps using video, you can sue them in civil court. And that's perfectly constitutional. And it's just like, if some creeper comes by and videotapes someone in their house through the window of their house, there's been lawsuits over that. You can be sued. Now, it's not necessarily criminally illegal, though that's a possibility too. But privacy rights are not absolute. But you can be sued for invading another private citizen's privacy right. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the Second Amendment, I was just reading some case law on the Second Amendment, and, there was a recent, it was up in the air as to whether or not the Second Amendment created a right for an individual to carry a personal gun. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that was just litigated in like the 2000s. And Scalia wrote an opinion saying essentially that it does protect a person's right to carry a weapon for purposes of self-defense, at least in certain areas. But again, it's not absolute. The Second Amendment for a long time was interpreted almost for you're allowed to carry weapons for the militia purposes, and then later on it's been interpreted that you can carry the weapon for private self-defense purposes as well. But how far those rights actually go hasn't been fully established. They seem to go pretty far, but the courts have also allowed, despite multiple challenges, the government to restrict the right to hold a firearm when they have, by legal standard, what's called a compelling reason. And so when the federal government created laws, actually it might have been state governments created laws banning guns in school zones, there were Second Amendment challenges to that, and the court upheld those rules, okay, based on the fact that they argued the government had a compelling reason, okay, to restrict the carrying of weapons in those particular areas. But that's coming. I'm going to do some videos. Diet Dr. Pepper is good. The Second Amendment, okay. The reason the First Amendment guys are getting out of control is because they ask their viewers to call in the places they've been, and now the receptionists take threatening phone calls. Why people think that if something isn't spelled out, then it's unconstitutional. The Constitution laid down every law. The Founding Fathers, it'd be huge. Well, yeah, the Constitution can't cover everything. Unfortunately, sometimes the only thing that stands between you and corrupt police is a defense lawyer. Amen. Hey, that's what you got to do, okay, is you got to hire a lawyer and you got to sue. I had a few friends. Unfortunately, sometimes the idiot Kroger gave us regular Dr. Pepper and Coke this week, then convinced me they are the same thing. Well, I'm glad he defended his position. I like Diet Dr. Pepper. I keep getting nauseated from Diet. Yeah, Diet Dr. Pepper is uniquely good. But I prefer Diet Coke. I don't know. It's a sick addiction. But yeah, my other show on my other channel, Joe the Lawyer, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff on the Second Amendment. Is there any other topics that you guys are interested in, or any other types of videos you want me to cover? I know I ask this all the time. California's firearm laws bar private citizens from opening in public and make it impossible to get concealed carry. Right, and that's viewed as constitutional. That's viewed as constitutional. So the Second Amendment obviously is not the end all be all, but pretty much every state you can own you can own firearms in your house and hunting weapons, etc. Boom, 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 boom. He thinks my mom's insulin is super powered enough. Boom, 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 boom. Does California violate that by making it impossible for citizens to carry firearms at all? I don't know. Ed. I would imagine that that's been litigated and that that the courts have decided that those laws are constitutional. And the reason I say that is because they exist. And the NRA, and there's enough Second Amendment groups that are out there. Hey, Pete, welcome to Pittsburgh. There are enough Second Amendment groups that are out there that anytime a law needs challenge, somebody's out there challenging it. If YouTube did not exist, there would be no auditors. Mark, you're correct. Isn't it crazy, all the crazy stuff that has been created by the internet? And I mean, we're just the tip of the iceberg talking about auditors and sovereign citizens. But I mean, all the shit that there is now from the internet, it's absolutely wild. DUI checkpoints are constitutional, been challenged under the Fourth Amendment, found to be constitutional. Now, there are certain requirements, and I don't know them all off the top of the head, that the police have to follow in order for the DUI checkpoint to actually be constitutional. However, they are, and most police stations, state troopers, state police, law enforcement agencies are aware of these and they follow those regulations. Boom, 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 boom. You love the soft sits, Moore's auditors, Thank you, Lynn. That stuff's going to keep coming. That stuff will come. I'm just wondering if there's any content I'm missing that everybody would like to see. What's your opinion of forced blood draws, which are legal where I am in Tennessee? So, an attorney just posted this today on a group that I'm in. The forced blood draw, I don't believe, number one, they have to have a warrant to even threaten that. Okay. So if they're trying to do a warrantless blood draw, which they can ask you if you want to give blood, okay, without a warrant, and you say no, the forced blood draw can only come with a warrant. I'm actually not sure that after, even if they have a warrant and you still refuse, I'm not sure if they can strap you down and do it. YouTube supports auditors. Without YouTube, they wouldn't exist. You're right, Jadonna. I mean, you're right, man. They do. I'm sure they do. They've tens of thousands, millions of videos out there of auditing. We should regulate that PA term. That is for sure. Just for the record, I'm not against safe auditing. I mean, I don't think there's any, if somebody gets pulled over, like I'm not so much for, people going out and recording the police, okay, like third parties. But if you're involved in a police transaction and you want to record it, I think that's a good thing. Have you ever heard of Corn Game? Sovsit got into a gunfight with police, was killed. $37 million, then reduced to zero. Wow. Talk about a roller coaster. I'll have to look into that one, Bob. Corin Games. They have yet to do a single audit. Filming is not an audit. Where's the follow-up and data collection along with review of changes to be made? That's true. It's technically not an audit. You pay taxes wherever you are. They vary in the states. That was just that. Yeah, that was my assumption. Where and why did auditors start? I don't know where, but I think YouTube is the reason why, because they can videotape these. They can videotape the police and put it on YouTube, and people watch, and they get paid, whatever. Are you aware of Eric Brandt's situation, Colorado, being charged with intimidating a couple of judges? Wow. No. Those are some serious charges, though. Those are some serious charges. Certain states have banned them. I think Idaho, maybe. Yeah, I heard you can get porn on the... That's not... I don't know, man. I wouldn't know. Why would I know that? Why would I know something like that? Some states have no sales tax. Right. Well, yeah, that's true, Laura. States generally either have the sales tax or an income tax. Now, a state that have no sales tax and no income tax, I don't know if that exists. Third Amendment auditors. Giordano, why don't you look up the Third Amendment for us? Actually, a private citizen recorded a police last week. That video ended up keeping an innocent man from being wrongfully convicted. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even against third parties doing it if they do it safely and correctly. Absolutely. Stay away. You can zoom in with your camera. Stay across the street in a calm manner. My man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Drop a question if you want to talk. But yeah, I'm not, listen, Ed, I'm not for again, I think auditing is generally good. Listen, that's why police have to wear body cameras now, right? I mean, every cop, here's the thing. If every officer had a body camera, we wouldn't need auditors. If every car had its dash cam running 24 hours a day, we wouldn't need auditors. A lot of police stations have that. That is not true. That is not uniform across the country. A lot of police stations can't afford it. But I am of the opinion, yeah, I think auditing done from a safe distance in a safe way that doesn't interfere in any time and way should auditing. I think that's a good thing. And I think private citizens should be, hey, officer, you want to come? You're going to question me? Bang, put your phone on, set it up, and record the transaction. I think that's a good thing. I absolutely do. No soldier. Oh, it's the quartering amendment. No wonder we never hear about the Third Amendment. They don't try to do that anymore. I had somebody ask me about that amendment. Shit. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner nor in time of war. Oh, that's part of the that's actually the sovereign citizens use that. They use the Third Amendment. Boom, boom. The key is to see all the police camera footage. Yeah, see, so I do criminal defense. I have some cases. I've had cases where I have to watch. And it's kind of funny because I get to watch 5 or 6 body cameras of an arrest or a transaction, and I get to see everything from all these different angles. Now, it's time consuming, but it gives you a great perspective, and you can see exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's fabulous evidence. I mean, Ed, you're correct. I mean, it can exonerate people. It can also get people convicted. It can also put you in jail, right? Because now there's video evidence of the crime that you may have committed in the presence of police, and you can no longer deny it. So it bites both ways, but what it does do is it helps us get to the truth, which is what the justice system is supposed to do. So generally, I'm for video taken in a correct and legal manner. Absolutely. Right. The body cams absolve more officers than they do citizens. Exactly. And I mean, it also may end up getting the person convicted when they would have been able to fight the case. And, you know, there's so much video. Private businesses have video inside and outside now. Like the city of Pittsburgh has video set up all over the city. Officers have video. I mean, we are not that far away, at least in my opinion, from a time when everything that happens outside of your house is going to, in one way or another, be recorded by something. I mean, people put all this Ring shit on their doors. I mean, I need to get one. Bump, bump, bump. Yeah, the Epstein camera cell footage. That's right. That's right. What's my opinion of law enforcement in general? Just another tool of the elites to dominate and control. Mr. Cooper, hello. Thank you. I believe law enforcement serves a useful and very important purpose in society. With that said, I do believe, and multiple studies have shown this, that human beings, when they are given power, there is a tendency for that power to be abused and or misused. So while I obviously support the existence of the police, and I believe that most police officers out there are very good, hardworking people, even good people can sometimes go bad or do bad things in certain situations when they have too much power. Law enforcement officers have a lot of power. So to be honest, things like body cams and dash cameras, it helps check that power. That's why we have checks and balances in our government, a separation of powers. There needs to be checks and balances on law enforcement. And I believe a lot of the videoing actually does that. And again, you know, most of the time it exonerates officers. That's true because a lot of them are really good. But, you know, you got to imagine that if you're an officer, put yourself in a situation where you're a police officer and you have a body cam and there's a dash cam on your car, you're going to try to just do everything according to your training. That's it. And it's when the lights and the cameras are off that you're going to think you can get away with something, especially if it's just you and your partner, and then it's your story and your partner's story against the story of a victim. I mean, you know, the things that used to go on 40, 50 years ago that I've heard about law enforcement are absolutely horrendous. All power corrupts. Absolute power is kind of cool. Absolute power corrupts absolute, but all power corrupts. That's absolutely, any form of power can corrupt. The truth of the matter is, you know, certain people have power in certain phrases or domains. Okay, but the police have a lot of power. Okay, and they're wearing that uniform. I mean, they have the power to put criminal charges on someone, to arrest you, to place you in jail. I mean, they can physically coerce you. Okay, and that's intimidating to people, and it's a lot of power. I believe that they should have that power, but we also need checks and balances in society to prevent them from abusing it. And things like body cams, dash cams, other cameras, the ability to sue them in court if they do something wrong, that's how we check that power. Right. That's the biggest difference, Bob, is having them be aware that they are being recorded, because that's going to force them to check themselves. Why don't they have video cams in jail cells? I'll tell you why, Lee. You want to talk about the right to privacy. There are certain places that will never get video cameras. Okay. One of those places are bathrooms. That's why there's so much concern about what goes on in bathrooms, Like a private or public company can't put cameras in bathrooms, okay? Because the Constitution's going to actually protect that. And I don't believe it's legal for even private company. They cannot put cameras in bathrooms. Okay, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in there. a jail cell has been decided by the Supreme Court that those people have inside their cell, they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Outside, in the pod itself, so in the common areas within the jails, there is not a reasonable expectation of privacy. In those public areas, they are recorded. So, I mean, I've watched those videos. But you do, even in a jail cell, there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. That's why there's no video of Epstein. Pittsburgh take you home and suggest to your parents that you deserve an ass kicking. Yeah, Bob. I mean, that's how it is to a certain degree. Absolutely. The city in Alberta requires minimum undergrad now, as they pay $80,000 to start, and they want better thinking officers. Yeah, most police now are college educated to some degree or another. I don't know if there's requirements in the city of Pittsburgh. There are cameras though and holding cells, and yeah, that may be true, Kelly. But a prisoner cell, once they're being held in a jail or prison for a long period of time, there are no cameras. Bob, when I was a kid, that is. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go on like it used to. You're absolutely right. In Philly, you are guilty until beaten innocent. That sounds about right. Though Philadelphia has a new district attorney who is number one, I believe he decided to stop prosecuting all marijuana possession cases. He's just like, I'm done. He made some other decisions too that actually really riled the Philadelphia police, because he's sort of taking a step, he's sort of disarming in a way, only going for violent type crimes, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what effect it has on the city of Philadelphia. But, the marijuana shit needs to go. Yeah, Eagles fans need to be put in jail. Legally, what is torture? Taylor, I honestly don't know. I'm sure that there is a crime of torture. It probably specifically involves inflicting pain on someone for no reason other than the infliction of pain. There's false imprisonment, which I'm familiar with and I've seen charged. The interesting thing about false imprisonment is you don't necessarily have to lock someone into a room to falsely. False imprisonment is when you can threaten someone, tell them if they leave, like you could say something like, if you leave the house, I'm going to shoot your child. Okay. That would be false imprisonment. And then so Philly police are a restive bunch, I bet. The only reason I decided not to choose crime as a career is because the toilets are open to view in prison. That is for sure. Torture. That's an interesting one. I have not seen. Is there a general requirement for criminology degrees for most police? That's a good question, Bob. I could have sworn someone told me that the Pittsburgh police require an education. Pittsburgh police, let's see, application requirements. No, they don't require college. No required college degree in Pittsburgh. How to become a police officer in Pittsburgh. Only a high school. Here it is. You've completed at least 30, by the time you enter the police academy, you must have completed at least 60 semester credits. You've completed at least 30 semester credits of college work. By the time you enter police academy, number of credits required for an undergrad degree. 120. So you just need an associate's degree in Pittsburgh. The pack. Change the tour of prison will change just about anyone's mind. I wish, Taylor. I get a lot of repeat offenders. They require college. They're going to have to pay ridiculous salaries. Yeah, Pittsburgh police, like I just said, it's an associate's degree, so 2 years of college. I knew they were requiring something. I didn't know if it was a full degree like that. Do you need a degree to be a professional career? Well, most you do. Most of the time you do, sir. If they don't have a degree in Pittsburgh, they get sent to the housing authority. Or like the Port Authority police. I saw like a school cop car today driving by me. I was like texting and driving, and this cop car, and I was like, oh, and then I looked, and then it said like school cop. I was like, they're not. Community college is the way to go, man. Why spend 4 years on? I mean, unless you're going to Yale or Harvard, go to community college for 2 years, and then transfer to university for your last 2 years, and then you can get the university degree. Like Penn State or Villanova or something, even though you only went there for 2 years, and you save a ton of money. Well, Taylor, I saw the article about her about Kim Kardashian wanting to be a lawyer, and in some states apparently they don't have that degree requirement. I think it was California, but that's how law practice used to be, right? I mean, we all know the tale of Abraham Lincoln taught himself the law, et cetera, et cetera. All you used to have to do is pass the bar exam. You didn't have to have the formal education. Now you need 7 years of formal education. And you have to pass the bar. Some police academies are given at colleges, so you get college credit for attending the academy. Well, that's what the Pittsburgh police said, Ed, is you need 60 credit. You actually need 60, but you can get into the academy with 30, and then the academy will be your other 30, and that will equal 60. Oh, which would then still only be an associate's degree. Okay. No law degree required in California to sit for the bar. There you go, Mark. Thank you for clearing that up, Mark. I appreciate it. The interesting thing about California is it has a notoriously difficult bar exam. And I'm starting to think that the reason why they make it hard is because they let people without law degrees become attorneys. So they still want to have, a fence for you to jump over and make it, make it not that easy to become an attorney. She's famous enough to get an honorary one. Traditionally, lawyers were tradesmen. And, Joe Donho, that actually makes a lot of sense because, first of all, let me tell you, my undergrad now I was a political science major, so there was some relevance because I learned about the Constitution and how government works and how government is set up a little bit. Okay. But other than that, everything else that I learned in my undergrad is completely useless to my legal degree. And then when you go to the practice of law, then when you go to law school, okay, all they teach you is the law. Now, schools are trying to become more practical, but 80% of your law school career, you are just going to learn laws. And listen, that's obviously a large part of being a lawyer, but they don't teach you in law school how to do a fucking trial. Okay. They don't teach you how to draft and present a motion. They don't teach you how to go into a mediation and negotiate a settlement for your case. They don't teach you, what the value is of your client's injury. And then you got some defense attorney on the phone offering you $5, when the person got their arm chopped off. I mean, they don't teach you that. Those are the things you need to know. You get out of law school, you're handling a personal injury case. Okay. You didn't learn how to value that case. You didn't learn how to determine how strong that case is at trial. You didn't learn how to take that client to a deposition and train them to be, interviewed under oath by by an attorney. So much. I could go on and on. So that's my issue with law schools and all the fucking requirements. The guy from Botch says the butt will explode. Okay. Thank you, Stacy. They just have to go to one of those Moorish seminars. They'll teach you to file every document under the sun. Yeah, they absolutely will. The interesting thing is there's been in the last few years, I saw this guy around. There was this kid who was walking around like most cities, all the courthouses are located in like one area, right? Like all the legal stuff in one area, the downtown. But there was this kid, and Pittsburgh's like that. The jail is not far from the courthouse and the minor courthouses and the civil courthouse. Okay. So everybody's walking around there, mostly lawyers, and we all know each other. So this kid's walking around a couple of years ago telling everybody he's a law student at Pitt. And everybody is like hanging out with him, and he's hanging out with these judges, and judges are allowing him in the courtroom, all this, blah, blah, blah. Comes out later on. He's not in college at all. He's not in college at all. And everybody gets all pissed off. I just think it's funny personally. But there was another dude walking around like Suits, the show Suits with the fake law degree. There was another guy walking around Pittsburgh who was pretending to be a lawyer. And he got a part-time position at a firm, okay, and left one night with a bunch of files. And when he left with the files, they looked into him and found out that he was not, in fact, an attorney. Okay, I think he was just mentally ill because they found the kid and they got the files back, but they filed the district attorney filed criminal charges against him. Bump, 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 bump. Credit hour at YouTube University, or I don't know, what are you paying right now? You forgot the most important requirement for law school. Yeah, that's the problem with law school and why it'll never go away is because it's a cash cow, Bob. And the reason for that, the reason it's such a cash cow is all they have to do is pay professors and have a library. Like law school is not an engineering department where you need equipment, advanced computers. It's not a medical school where you have to pay for all the stuff that the doctors and people practicing medicine need. Law school is just books. That's it. It's just books and people. So law schools make a ton of money and they don't cost that much. They teach you common general principles of law. You have to learn the codes of your state. It depends on the law school, Ed. My school, we actually, it depends. I would just say that it depends. A lot, I would say over 50% of my professors taught state-specific law. So we would go over the common principles and then also cover PA law, but that was only about half. Mr. Cooper, I will let you decide what my political leanings are. Watch my videos. Perry Mason. Gary, that's not true. Perry Mason was a terrible lawyer. Perry Mason was a good investigator, but he was a terrible lawyer. Okay, his clients always turned out to be innocent because they discovered evidence that showed otherwise. Perry Mason's a great lawyer because that show was scripted. So then for you, when you go state to state, you would have challenged examine each state before practicing. Yeah. That's exactly true. So before you've practiced for 5 years, you have to take the bar exam in separate states. But now, so some states require that even after 5 years, but most states, and I've been practicing for 6 years now, most states after 5 years, you can swear into them. So if you pay all the money, and remember, it's always about money. If you pay the money and you do what's called, you have to do, I'm getting tired. I can't think of it right now. There's an ethics portion of every so to practice law in a state, you have to pass an ethics board and an evaluation. And some states actually interview you, so you have to give them your entire work history, your entire criminal history, if it exists. You have to talk all about yourself, all the places that you've ever lived. They may even go into employment history. And you provide them with that, and then they ask you specific questions, and then some states interview you, and then if you pass that, the ethics portion, it's called fitness. It's called, what the fuck is it? Character and fitness. Character and fitness. Once you pass the character and fitness portion, and you pay all their fees, you can practice in another state. Has anyone ever passed all 50 states bar exam? No, maybe I should be the first, just for fun. I'll make a YouTube video about it. We'll do a YouTube journey, a vlog. Taze explains that my second grade teacher was Miss Harvard. Oh Lord. Getting an education. That doesn't mean that she was necessarily very attractive. Does it, Taze? I mean, what? Yeah, right. That's Harvard. If you told me she was like, I don't know, Miss Penn State, I'd be like, woo. Getting an education in the United States costs way too much. Amen. I absolutely am with that. So if you're too ethical, they won't give you a license. Exactly, Mark. Exactly. I love it. I love it. See, the thing about attorneys is, we know the rules, therefore we know how to skirt the rules, right? If you know the rules inside and out, you know the laws inside and out, you know how to skate the laws. That's why I was like, some of these criminals, my God, some of the stupid shit they do. I could have prevented them from being arrested so many times. So, a good criminal will have a lawyer by his side, not a criminal defense lawyer, but a criminal lawyer. And that's what the mob guys did. They'd pay these lawyers, and then these lawyers could tell them how to break the law. Mafia did that for decades. That doesn't really need a law degree. Alura Panda Panda. Ilu Parota Panda. How much of your time? It depends on your type of practice. Since I'm a solo practitioner, over 50% of my time goes to things that absolutely no law degree is required for. Over 50% of my time, and maybe more. Now, when I'm drafting a brief or arguing a motion or doing a trial, yes. But running a small practice is running a business. So I'm spending time on my business. Hey, Geneva, thank you for stopping by. Welcome. So over 50% of my time. Now, if you work for a big time firm, okay, or even something medium-sized firm, you're going to have to do some tasks. If you work for a firm, you have a whole bunch of support staff, and you don't have to worry about things like collecting the fees, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can just practice law. So it depends. For solo practitioner, they're probably spending more than 50% of their time on non-legal stuff. Tells you how much free time I have. For somebody who works at a firm, they can probably put over up to 75% of their time into straight legal stuff, but they still have to do a lot of administrative tasks. That's why you'll see a lot of paralegals become attorneys, because they'll work for attorneys and they'll be like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Plus, they basically just learn how to be attorneys just from hanging around attorneys. Like Jadonho said, is law used to be considered like a trade. It was like an apprenticeship, which is actually more practical than just reading, fucking law books for 3 years. I mean, that's all we did is read law books. I don't know if I have any more legal books down here. Oh, where's my good stuff? Let me show you guys some of my books. Boom, boom, boom. I could have sworn I had that one down here. Nope. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Absolutely. What degree do you need to be a mob lawyer? That's the pasta eating degree. How much spaghetti? How good is your red sauce? Well, as we see in a lot of Moorish videos, they all know the law and practice so-called law. I found this. It was called this website. Oh, it was called Pseudo Law, and they covered like sovereign citizens and fake law for like a couple of years, but they haven't posted anything in a couple of years. Comedy of jurisdiction, always used to consolidate the most egregious crimes set before the court, or is there some leeway on the part of the prosecutor? Bob, I don't know. To consolidate the most egregious crimes. I'm not sure what you mean by that. The major drug trafficking, terrorism, and organized crime is generally dealt with by the FBI. And if the FBI is dealing with a case, that means the federal courts have taken jurisdiction, and you're going to have United States attorneys. And they will often prosecute large drug rings that will span multiple states, sometimes even multiple countries. And exactly how they bring those cases together, I don't know. Is a pseudo attorney, Lynn Squeak. Pseudo law, pseudo religion, Moors all the way. Absolutely. Joe, can you give your email for questions? Yeah, absolutely. Shoot me questions. I don't check this email daily. I should, but I already have like so many emails. But I do check it weekly. Newsletter@pomettolaw.com. Who is Van? Van Bayon 2, and if somebody wants to drop a link in there, Van posts like tons of sovereign citizen stuff. Probably about half the videos I do, I just pull from his channel. The Van Bayon 2 channel seems to have more fresh content. But he still posts on Van the Man too. 20 by 20 raised bed of organic garlic. Stacy, I'll try your Alfredo. I love Alfredo sauce. I mean, red sauce is my favorite. Comedy of jurisdiction, always used to consolidate the most egregious crimes. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see here. Courtesy one jurisdiction gives by enforcing the laws of another jurisdiction. The idea courts should not act in a way that demeans the jurisdiction. That's sort of a conflict of laws issue. Allows visitors. So, we did study. I took a course called Conflicts of Laws in law school. But I come up, like, the issues that arise out of that are minimal for me in criminal defense. But I do get, we do get weird issues where, like, I do a lot of personal injury or breach of contracts, etc., where somebody got hurt, but they were a citizen of another state. But the acts, say you have 2 drivers, one from Ohio, one from West Virginia, but they get in a car accident in Pennsylvania. Can sovereign citizens fly planes without a license? Jadon, they can fly planes whenever they want. Didn't you know? I got to talk about my comment section for a little bit. Nobody here, but man, I get some really crazy comments. And I just want to say I don't endorse all of those comments. Okay. And I also don't have time to police all of the comments. And, you know, people dropping racist stuff and all these insults, man, it's wild. I don't endorse any of that. I mean, if I drop a little hard, I endorse it because I try to read most of my comments. But wow, some of this stuff, I get some wild comments. Sovs can fly without wings. They can just jump and soar. Fly through the air. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped. Yeah, was one of these guys, you know, one day just go through and scroll down those comments, man. Woo! I didn't know what I was getting into. People, they write some crazy shit. I typoed the other morning and found a win. I mean, a lot of it is just hilarious. Geneva, yes, I have sued government before. I've filed lawsuits against state entities and county entities and city entities and even the federal government because I practiced in employment law, and I would have people who worked for, say, the post office. Well, technically, I'm suing the federal government when I'm suing the post office, right? I've done personal injury cases where an individual who was driving got hit by an on-duty officer. It was an auto accident. The on-duty officer hit my client. And so I had to file, technically, I'm suing the city of Pittsburgh. So yeah, I sue the government on a regular basis. For certain types of cases, it can be harder, but for some cases, it doesn't matter. And if the case is good, ultimately an attorney will take it. So I've sued the government. It can be more difficult, though. It can be more difficult. Well, you know what that comes back to, Ed? If we are the government, aren't you just suing yourself? Ultimately, taxpayer dollars are paying out billions of dollars in lawsuits against your taxpayer-funded government. So in that way, yes, you are suing yourself, and you're getting, you know, somebody else is getting your money in that sense. Or if you're suing the government, you're getting some of your money back. Bum, 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 bum. I'll send an email. I got put on a list. Well, okay. I'm just send any like private emails to this, you know. I do have an email list that I'm starting. And have you listened to a Sov Sit trial in person? Karen, I have not I have not sat through a full trial in person. Okay, I've seen many sovereign citizens in person though, but every time I've seen them, it has been at like if you watch Judge John Hurley, it's at the lower level. That's like a magistrate court. And I've watched them in there. And again, what you'll like, a lot of them aren't at that hardcore, but I've seen them change their minds and take plea, like when the offer was good enough for them. But I've also seen them get up there and talk about judges having no jurisdiction over them right in front of the judge. But I have friends who have done trials, like I have prosecutor friends who've done trials against sovereign citizens, and they told me all about it. And it's hilarious. I was just making a joke, ended up making a good point. My best points are often jokes. Yeah, you nailed it, Ed. Yeah, technically you are, man. I mean, you're correct. If you're suing the government, you are suing yourself. Government of by for the people. Da 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 da. Okay, everyone. I'm starting to get a little tired here. Thank you for tuning in. Trying to put more content out. I appreciate everybody watching, dropping comments for me. I have a new channel called Joe the Lawyer, which is going to have a different flavor of content because I want to do sovereign citizen, pseudo law, type stuff on this channel, First Amendment auditors. And then that one I'm going to do more. I'm going to just talk about the law, talk about the life of being a lawyer, etc. But also things like the Second Amendment or the Constitution. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Saw videos where a 7-year-old was groped in a tub. You mentioned why her mother. Someone in the comments went off on you. Yeah, that was what was on my mind today, Lynn, because I mentioned I thought when I read the article, I thought that the hot tub was a private hot tub. So I pictured, and I should have read more closely because it says right in the title that it was it was a recreation center. So I'm thinking to myself that this is like a hot tub that someone has in their house, in like their backyard. And in that sense, I was thinking, well, if you have an individual who's at your house and then your kid is in the hot tub with this individual who, you may not know that he's a registered sex offender. But it just, it just felt weird to me. But the reason it felt weird is because it wasn't true. The truth is that what occurred was at a public hot tub at a recreation center. So, I absolved the parents. But let me ask everybody this while I have you. I mean, is it because I don't have kids? I mean, would you let your 7-year-old kid get in a hot tub regardless? I don't know. I thought hot tubs were were dangerous. You're welcome, Karen. Thanks for asking. And anytime you have questions, if you see me live, I'm going to try to hit 8 o'clock every Wednesday. If you see me live, hop in. I like to take legal questions. My specialties are criminal defense, personal injury. I'm starting to get more into family law. I used to get a lot of questions. So I'm happy to take those questions or just discuss topics on my channel. Her name was Miss Harvard. But listen, wait, before anybody goes, if you have children, the mom was in there with her, so I guess she felt the kid was safe. Yeah, good point, Gary. I'm just wondering because I have a relative who would not let their 5-year-old into a hot tub, and this was on a vacation spot, okay? And there were no, I mean, it was just family, okay? But they were worried that a 5-year-old shouldn't be in a hot tub because of the temperature. So, and there was concerns for drowning. So that was another thought that I had, because this 5-year-old who I was on, a family member has got a 5-year-old, and they were like, they didn't want the 5-year-old in the hot tub. And at first I was like, why? And then, like you said, drowning, or can a child's body handle that type of heat? I mean, I only briefly. Okay, fair enough. I don't have kids, so I'm just wondering. I don't think it's necessarily, like you said, like let them get in for a couple of minutes or something. Mom wanted to be in the hot tub and needed to keep her child close. You got to be careful with young people and temperature regulation. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was. If mom felt uncomfortable with the guy getting in the tub, she should have gotten out. Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios. I mean, I don't blame anything on the parent in this situation, ultimately. But I would have put a little bit of blame on them if it happened at their house. I don't know. Maybe I'm a jerk. Hot tubs are bad okay. Thanks, Taylor. Hell no. She should have gotten out. Yeah, I don't know. So, but regardless, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I'm gonna public hot tub, right? I'm gonna check out, and thank you very much. See you guys soon.